Hi guys, so the purpose of this video is to teach you how to create user-defined fields or UDFs within SmartAdvocate. So a UDF is basically a way for you to tailor SmartAdvocate to track things that it may not already be tracking itself, or say it's something that you notice you're having to go through several different pages or look through the contracts to find. You can create a UDF inside certain pages within SmartAdvocate to track that information, so you can just go to that one place to look for it. So the one downside to UDS is they can't be created on every single page or every single tab within SmartAdvocate. So for example, the summary page, the medical providers tab, the insurance tab, and the lien tracking tab, you cannot add UDFs to because they already track so much information that the system doesn't allow you to create UDFs and add to it. However, one of the most common places that you do see these UDFs added is within the incident tab. So you'll notice this whole section in the middle is titled UDFs. We basically created all of these entries because we didn't want to have to, every time we looked at a new case, go through all the documents, go through the contract and the police report just to find the answers to these questions. Also, because we need to know what kind of government assistance the client is having or is receiving before we disperse their settlement, we keep track of that on the incident tab as well. So that way, whoever is doing the closeout doesn't have to go through several different tabs just to determine if they're on Medicaid or receiving food stamps. They can just look at this incident tab. Another option you have if you don't want to add the UDF to this incident tab is to create a new page on the left-hand side, and normally it'll pop up down here under Other. And an example of this, I created this data collection page right down here, and basically I created all these UDFs. And they track basically all the settlement information within a case, so that way we can generate a report later on to see maybe what our average total medical charges for each case are, or how much PIP we typically recover for each case. So for today's purposes, just to show you how to create a UDF, I'll be working on this incident tab. And the UDF I'm going to create today is a question that basically lets us know if the case we're looking at is a possible traumatic brain injury case or TBI case. So what I'll want to do is determine where I want that question to pop up inside this section. So do I want it to be the first question that's asked? Do I want it to be the fifth question that's asked? Do I want it to come last? I'll tell you why that's important later on, but the first thing you need to do is determine what order you want the question to come in, or where in the UDF section you want it to show up. Once you determine that, you'll go to this admin tab and you'll go to the UDF editor. Now you can search for UDFs either through case type or incident type, because you can create UDFs based on case type or incident types. So if you go to incident type UDF and sort for auto accident, which is normally how we create the UDFs, because majority of the cases we work on are auto accident, you'll see these UDFs right here. These are ones that have already been created and that show up for every single case that's classified as an auto accident incident. The next thing you'll want to do is under here, under the screen column, you'll want to find all the UDFs on the screen that you're working with. So I'm going to scroll down, and down here is all of the UDFs that show up in the incident tab. And since that's where I'm going to be adding a UDF, these are the ones that I want to look at. Now the reason the order was important, so when I was asking if you want the question first, fifth, last, the reason that's important is it comes into play with this order over here. So how the order works is the lower this order, it's kind of a comparison thing. So if the number for city is lower than the order number for eyewitnesses, that question's going to come first. So it doesn't necessarily need to be location is order number 1, address is number 2, address 2 is number 3, city is number 4, county is number 5. It can be location is 2, this first address is number 6, this is 10. As long as in relation to one another, whatever's lower will come higher up on this list. So because there's no medical provider questions, I know I'm going to add my TBI question last. So I don't necessarily need to look at all the numbers. I just need to find what the highest number is right now, which looks like, as far as the ones that are active goes, the highest number is 12. Now this one you'll see is 13, but it's not an active UDF, so I'm going to disregard that. So the highest number is 12, so I know my UDF needs to be an order number that's higher than 12, so 13 or higher. Now say I wanted to add the UDF in between city and county, I would need to make sure the order number was lower than cities but higher than cities but lower than county. So to do that, it does get a little bit tricky because majority of the time they are in numerical order as far as it goes 1, 2, 3. There's not a lot of big gaps. So if you were, say I wanted it to become the new number 6, well, since Right now, county is number 6. I would need to change county to number 7. Eyewitnesses goes from 7 to 8. Whatever's number 8 becomes 9, and you have to go and change all of those and bump the order up higher. So when creating UDFs, it's better to do it in bulk so you're not constantly having to go change these order numbers every single time you want to add a new UDF. But for today, that doesn't matter since my UDF is going last. I determined the highest active UDF is order number 12. So I'm going to go ahead and already put in that my order number is going to be 13 so I don't forget. Next, the text is going to be what you want to show up on the page where the UDF is being tracked. So what is the question? So for me, it is possible TBI case. Type is going to be what kind of question are you asking? Do you want it to show up as a drop-down, a checkbox, a text box? Do you want it to be a monetary amount? So you can there's tons of different options. For our purpose today, it's going to be a yes/no radio button, which is where it shows up as right here under police report favorable. It'll show up by like yes, no, unknown, NA. So that's an example of a radio button, yes, no. So that's what I'm wanting. Got my order number put in there. The screen that I want it on is the incident screen, and then I just want to make sure that it's marked as active, because if it's not marked as active, it's not going to show up. Then I'm going to click OK, and it's going to show up. So I put it in as number 13, but it looks like since old test was already number 13, it went ahead and bumped it up to the next highest, which is 14. So for our purposes, it's fine, but that's why it's important that you shift those numbers around if you are wanting to add the new UDF within a group of UDFs that's already been created. So now that that's added, I'm going to go back to my incident tab and refresh. And you'll notice now I have a new possible TBI question that wasn't there before, and I can track it however I want. Now, if you want to edit a UDF that's already been created, it's super simple. You just go back to that UDF editor and say, I want to change county to counties. You can just edit it and hit OK. I'm not going to do that because we don't want to rename that one, but editing them is super simple. If you try to make an entry inactive, if you no longer wanted to ask certain questions, that entry will not be removed from past cases. So say I decide I don't want to ask about possible TBI anymore, I don't care, I can mark that as no longer active. I can check the active box and make it inactive. However, on old cases, you'll still see it's popped up there because it will have already had an entry selected. So it won't go back and delete it from old cases, only from new cases that you sign up. So that's basically it. That's how you create a user-defined field within SmartAdvocate. They are super handy and can be used to track a lot of valuable information that SmartAdvocate itself may not already be tracking. I hope that answers all your questions. You have a great rest of your day.